doesn't get a lot of play, but I think is terrible, is IFC. Always on, slightly off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
is
wonder
terrible
why a
and
sort of
good.
like slightly quirky, subtle play on words didn't like
Sweep the nation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that wasn't it. Hate to be a stickler, but surely something interesting must.
We live for Steven's assessment of the banter.
So I actually
at the beginning of every record.
I got some feedback
Oh shit!
Oh boy!
from my roommate,
Solicited
who's
or
a loyal listener.
Oh hey!
She
shout out.
said, "I always want to know, like, how you guys are affected by the movies long term."
Oh okay.
So, I did have a few hallway scares over the week. Where
from
I would
what did we watch?
The Witch.
Okay.
I would go to the bathroom in the dark, like go through the dark hallway, not turn the light on. And then going back through the dark hallway, I would be like, oh, a witch might pop out.
Mm-hmm. Were you imagining old crone witch?
Yeah, naked butt witch.
Naked.
Also, P.S. because I was reviewing the trailer before we posted that last episode, and they kind of spoil that in the last shot of the trailer. You get like not her full blood grinding on the broom, but like you do get this sort of like far off distant shot of her like naked on the ground, kind of like squirming. That's a wild ass thing to put in a trailer.
Pretty big reveal.
Yeah.
Well, I think they probably just didn't anticipate it being that the people would think there'd be this ambiguity to it, which is interesting. I don't. Maybe not. I don't know. But
I don't dream that, or I don't recall my dreams. So none of this stuff I think is like sinking into that sort of subconscious level. Do you guys dream?
Yeah.
I have had dreams. I've heard of those. But I'm not a heavy dreamer, and when I do dream, I don't remember them usually.
Do you dream?
I'm a avid lucid dreamer.
Oh God.
Did you train to get it, or you just could
like
do it?
every boy in college? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I went through like a real deep depression one year, and I spent like 6 months just watching television and sleeping. And
that sounds
like
really
depression.
great. Actually,
it
no,
was.
just kidding.
Don't get me wrong, it was great. It was a great depression.
Name's taken.
This guy's ready to go.
Yeah,
He's ready to go.
What was your new deal?
Jesus. But yeah, I trained myself with like timers on my watch. And like learning all the techniques that's made you stay in like.
Just give me like rundown, like top of mind. What are those techniques? Because I know that I've heard that you can do it, but I don't know how you actually do it.
So you need to have a watch on that goes off at a certain, like I would say once an hour. It just makes like a little beep beep, right? So when you're dreaming,
You hear that,
and it makes you think, wait, what? I know that sound. So like. Awakens your conscious, and then once you realize that you're lucid in your dream, like you're gonna wake up like right away if you get too excited. So in that case, you want to rub your hands together
in the dream.
Yeah, you rub your hands together, and that'll kind of keep you focused. Another thing to like,
but
look
you can
out
just
for.
tell yourself to rub your hands in your dream, and you will.
Right. I mean, like I don't think I was actually rubbing my hands in the real world.
Of course,
but your dream hands.
But
are
you
rubbing.
like the power of suggestion is a real thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I guess I thought it was like a movie device.
No, you can make it.
You can like implant the idea.
A couple of times I've just naturally done it where I'm like, oh, I'm dreaming, and like been aware of it. But usually,
this is like to me scarier than any of the movies we watch.
I've got a scary. It backfired on me once,
no.
and then I like never did it again. Like I like
what
stopped.
happened?
Oh, I got to hear about this.
It was a track. Like I was on this track, so I was aware that I was lucid dreaming, and I was moving, but I didn't get to control where I was moving to. And I was going through this like Venetian like hotel or something like that. It was beautiful, and every time I would have this like reoccurring thing where I was lucid. I knew what was happening. It was like I'm in this dream, and I'm getting a little bit further each time. I would get a little bit further down this hallway, and then into this bedroom, and then I would wake up. I would get a little bit further, and I would see like a bathroom, and then I would wake up. And I would get a little bit closer, and I would see that there's like steam in the bathroom.
Is it the old lady from The Shining?
It was similar to that, and that it was like like somebody that was like emaciated, kind of like huddled down, just like rocking back and forth and crying. And then I like woke up after I saw that, and I was like, I don't like my psyche. I don't trust my dreams anymore. Yeah,
you got lost.
We are definitely afraid of the dark. Starting on a bit of a different note.
Yeah, different energy. I like it.
We're gonna talk more about that. But before we do, let's introduce everybody. I am Stephen Smith. I am afraid of everything.
And I'm Emma Holder, and I'm more afraid of more things.
And I'm Kyle Romero, and I'm a big brave boy.
And we have a very special guest this week who is like has
Lucid
got
dreamer.
me shook. Yeah.
Fuck me up, fam.
Is this happening right now? We'll have to download to find out. Everybody, improviser, comedian, and general swell guy, Nathan Sowell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, big wet daddy as well.
Oh yeah,
Big
wet.
wet.
Nice.
Still not used to it. Still shocks me every time I hear it. Like, gross. Oh, yeah, that's what we've coined
That's
our
what we've
fans.
chosen to call our fans.
Honest shareholders meeting really quick as Wet Daddy Emeritus and then the three hosts of the show. We got to get a very small run of maybe 10 shirts that say I'm a wet daddy. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. We
Just
do.
put them on all genders, all shapes and sizes. Maybe a sticker, but let's start small.
Start small.
Get it out there. I'd like to see it on some bumpers.
We are definitely going to need t-shirts soon, though.
Okay, fair enough.
I'd put down $20 on a t-shirt.
I will absolutely never wear a shirt that says Wet Daddy.
But
I do
Yeah.
love it. I want
got-
other people to wear it.
It's got to say hashtag wet daddy.
Hashtag wet daddy.
Because then people will be like, oh,
What's
it says
that?
something I don't know about. It's a hashtag.
It's some sex culture bullshit. But I think I don't want to wear clothes or anything. This is why I don't do bumper stickers, anything that just invite opinions that just
Yes.
like beg people to go like, now what's that all about? Because I like to move through life much like a dream with no meaningful interaction that I can just sort of slip away from. But that would be begging for like unwanted attention,
My man.
particularly as a woman.
You and I are on the same page. Folks that don't know me in real life, you got to know, I literally wear a black t-shirt and jeans every day of my life. That's the only thing I wear. And part of that is just like, I don't want to invite scrutiny in any way.
I imagine your closet like Smurfette's closet.
Yes.
Which you open it and it's just all the same outfit.
Yeah.
Which always bugged me about cartoons. That like even on Daria, the fashion club never fucking changes their clothes. But you're a real life Smurfette.
I'm a real life cartoon. When I do laundry and hang it up, my closet does look like that.
Identical.
Yeah.
Do you also just have like a bunch of kitten heels that are white? Like
Yeah,
Smurfette?
yeah, I do. And I have red stocking caps, so I do Papa Smurf some days too.
Somebody recently said that this is a thing, like, this is something that, like, high-powered CEOs do, like your Steve Jobs types. Because
Turtlenecks.
it's, like, reduce decision fatigue. Because,
Yeah.
like, all day long you're making decisions. And there's something nice about it, but I couldn't sell it through where, like, it's like, well, you know, because of my, like, fast, my important lifestyle where I'm, like, always making big life-changing decisions.
Yeah, that's the thing. It definitely does do that. Like, it does remove that from your life entirely. But I'm not using that brain space on anything other than, like, what shitty movie am I going to watch tonight? Like, it doesn't go toward anything useful.
Yeah.
I
Do you
love
have-
clothes.
Do you have different like types of jeans though? Like different brands and colors or
Cuts.
I usually go, it's usually Levi's. It's almost always Levi's.
yeah.
Usually the same fit.
Shout out.
Maybe slightly different washes here and
no
there.
no Buddy Lee's?
What's up?
No Buddy Lee's?
Is that Lee's?
Yeah, Buddy Lee's? No? Yeah,
No, I don't know
Lee's.
what that is.
Wranglers?
No Lees, no Wranglers,
No Gap?
no Gap,
Y'all, is this
No.
jean
Navy.
jean top?
No,
With-
any of those British stores that just have like old vintage sewing machines on the walls. You're like,
No, I don't get custom, bespoke British tailored jeans.
but so you just go and buy like a 5-stack.
Yeah,
All right, that's
yeah.
it.
I'll just buy the shit in bulk. I'm done for a while.
I always have only one pair in the rotation, and then recently when I very confidently at work zipped up my pants. I ripped the zipper clean off. I just zipped with so much, such a definitive thing. Like, we're done here. Zip.
What a piss! Oh, I've done it!
I've done it again. And so I was just full gape for the rest of the day at work.
Oh, no.
And I just went immediately to my team and I was like, I'm just full disclosure. Here's the situation that I'm in here. And then I've been wearing like a backup pair as it got put into the heavy rotation.
That fascinates me.
I usually
because
have 3 pairs.
Okay.
I think often, as a husky boy, like, what would I do if I were to comically rip my pants while bending over to pick up an ice cream cone that I dropped on the ground?
What is this hoagie that's attached to a tether? It keeps jumping down the street.
I constantly think of like, oh God, what would I do? And I think I would just like tell my boss, like, hey, I just gotta go. I got a personal emergency. Like, I would not disclose like I've had a pants accident.
Because it sounds like you shit yourself.
Yeah.
I've had a pants accident at work.
Yeah.
And everyone was looking at me. No, I did not shit myself. I was in like a small conference room, and it was some weird incentive where if you did this well on the phones today, you get to be in the money room. And they had this.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Capitalism.
I know, it's the worst. So they had this money gun.
What?
That they use like on Nailed It. That's sort of like it makes it rain, but with a gun.
It made it rain, and I was in there with 2 other people, and they just it was like
You get to keep the money?
$500. Yeah, it's $500 in assorted bills, and they do it, and everyone else is trying to raise their hands in the sky and grab the money, and I just go straight down.
Yeah,
because that's where all the money
It's
is.
gonna land there.
But I do it way too fast.
Oh,
and
no.
I crouch real fast, and my pants just split open in the crotch area.
How much money did you get?
I got enough money to buy a new pair.
Oh my God, that's work's really dehumanizing. So
That's
it's
really
fun
That's incredible.
fun, but also very gross and
Yeah. Don't work there anymore.
Oh, that was
Good.
not at your current job.
Oh,
Good.
God.
You're like,
Good.
oh, what a surprise! There's a pink slip. I'm giving, or my 2 weeks notice are inside this split crotch.
Slipped into my taint.
Nathan, let's talk about your scarediness, your relationship with scary things.
Cool.
You're a movie guy in the way that like most people like to watch movies, or are you like more of a kind of cinephile?
I wouldn't call myself a cinephile because I don't have like strong opinions on movies. In that I like pretty much everything and can find an argument as to why I like it.
Yeah.
But I do know way too much about movies and actors and what that person was in and stuff like that. I love useless movie trivia.
Hell yeah, dude.
So scary stuff is on the map then.
So scary stuff is definitely on the map. It was something that I worked into in like my college years. I was pretty big scaredy cat. Up until then, my mom liked to make me watch scary movies and like laugh at how scared I got.
Same.
So there are still certain movies that I like just won't go near
Because she like forced you to watch it too soon.
Like, what's
Yeah.
one?
What are they? Yeah.
Child's Play.
Incredible.
It comes up
terrifying.
because dolls just universally creep people out. I think.
People don't fuck with dolls.
I hate it too because logically I know, and I mean I had to logic this out in order to live, but I know if a doll ever came at me with a knife, I'd punt it real hard and like run in the opposite direction. I know that, but I don't want to be locked in a room with a doll.
I like that's what you had to logic out. Not that dolls are not going to come to life and kill you, but
I like
that I could punch it.
You're in your bedroom, like war room situation, and you like open up a blueprint, and you're like, "All right, here's the plan. If the doll approaches me, I'm gonna swiftly punch it in the face, and then exit strategy, run away." It's a pretty complicated plan.
I joke, but I do remember as a kid being very scared of Chucky. Even though I'd never seen the movie, like I never watched it, there was a Spencer's Gifts at our mall, and they had a like life-size Chucky doll. And I remember, like, I'm not going the fuck in there. That thing is my size, and we're gonna have a real fucking mano-y-mano confrontation.
Do you think he's definitely ugly for a doll? I mean, he's not just scary looking, but ugly. And do you also think it preys on people's inherent distrust of redheads.
Yes.
It was just like he's such a weird outlier. Ooh.
I was trying to think, well, how would that affect the character if his hair was a different color? I think if he was blonde, it would
Children of the Corn.
Yeah, it would still be scary, but maybe in like a slightly different way. The red hair, I don't know. I think for me, it's hard for me to separate that and the My Buddy doll that like it's visually based on, because I had a My Buddy doll that I was very close
based
to.
On that?
Yeah, it was called My
very
Buddy.
Similar.
They're very, very similar. And so I had one as a kid before all that. That's probably a big part of it why, as a kid, I was so scared of it. But I wasn't scared of My Buddy doll. It was my buddy. It's my friend. I took him everywhere.
Wherever you go, he goes.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's not forget Kid
Sister.
Yeah, I didn't have a kid sister.
Well,
Boys Club.
I didn't have either.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have that doll.
What were your like? So you said you started to get into them in college. So like, what were your like points of entry? Because we're like, I think it's interesting to talk about like what gets you into it.
For sure. I think a lot of horror comedy got me into it. You know, a lot of like early Peter Jackson and Sam Raimi stuff.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, like gore didn't really freak me out. Although I can't stand torture porn. I'm glad that y'all have that rule, because
it's the worst.
That stuff sucks. But that, and then once I started like seeing that, horror movies can like say something about, so like they can have social commentary. I was like, this is a whole other deeper thing that I really enjoyed. It was kind of like the sci-fi aspect as well. You know, like sci-fi can say a lot about our current times.
Yeah.
Horror and sci-fi really blend together a crap ton.
Have you ever seen 1984?
Dude.
Seen it? I've read it.
Read it? I'm living through it right now, you guys.
Shit. I wish that was a joke.
Yeah.
We'll cut it out. It's too sad. We don't want to bum people out. Do you? So I think that's like an interesting blind spot so far. We've only done, this is the 14th episode. So we haven't done any real comedy horror. I think like People Under the Stairs had like kind of funny moments. And that's also maybe the only movie that we watched that has had like as much pointed social or political commentary. But like, that's like an interesting, like, I think something like worth exploring, because I think Emma and I are like you, that would resonate with us more than just like straight out horror.
Yeah. Not to go on, because I don't know if you brought any comedy horror. We'll get into it. But I was thinking that today, like, oh wow, we really should go down that path of like, because I'm interested in, there are people I know that have been scared of like Shaun of the Dead. Like they find Shaun of the Dead a scary
It was
movie.
scary.
I thought it was scary.
Yeah. I mean,
I
it has some
but it was
effective
scary.
scares in it. And so I'm interested in that. Like,
there's a
dichotomy.
A moment in, I think Hot Fuzz is scary.
Yeah,
Hot
it
Fuzz has
is.
some
There's
moments
that
for sure.
part where somebody gets like a gargoyle dropped on their head, and you just see it kind of like break through their body. It's just a gross like digital effect, but like it's stomach churning
For sure.
Let's get into those movies.
Let's do it.
Hell
All
yes.
right. Okay.
You know the drill. Do it, baby.
Okay.
He's blowing on his fingers, tuning
to
up his
look these
instrument.
So the first movie is a movie called In the Mouth of Madness. In the Mouth of Madness is a movie about a lost author, Sutter Kane.
Wink. SK.
Oh, Stephen King.
A Stephen King allegory.
Got it.
And he's missing, and he's got this new book coming out, and Sam Neill plays like an insurance investigator who has to, who gets hired by like the publisher to track down this moneymaker for them.
Okay.
And it just spirals into madness.
What's it called again?
In the Mouth of Madness.
And then this isn't that thing that's like that the Cthulhu mystery. What is that?
So that's
the Mountains of Madness?
in the
Mountains
of Madness or something. It's very similar. The title
Sorry,
In the
nerds.
Mouth of Madness is
supposed to
evocative of
Okay,
that.
cool.
It's very Lovecraftian. It's very I don't know. It's a John Carpenter movie.
Oh, okay, awesome.
So there's that.
Yeah.
It's also it's part of his Apocalypse trilogy. So he's 3 movies that are about sort of like the end of the world and things like that. But yeah, I fucking love this movie.
Is this what that meme that you posted on our Facebook page the other day was, where he's like crying and then Okay, got it. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Emma's reading.
I'm reading about it.
Okay.
Charlton Heston's in it. I don't know if we want to support that.
Is he dead yet?
He's dead.
Okay, cool. We're good.
He's not getting any
He
streaming
died?
dollars.
Oh, I didn't realize he died. Okay.
All right, number 2.
All right, number 2. This movie is a real mind trip. Okay,
It's called Mind Trip.
And
No.
it's
Called
my
Girls
manuscript.
Trip.
this movie
So much
is-
piss in this movie.
This movie's a real mind trip. It's very meta in nature,
What's it called?
and
Please don't say funny games.
it's about this author that goes missing. And Sam Neill has to track him down.
Are we at one of your lucid dreams? Are you playing a joke?
No, my second pick is In the Mouth of Madness.
I see what you're doing.
I
You
see.
only brought one movie.
Except that you can't do that, my friend.
What? I gave you two different movies.
No,
Well,
sir,
well,
sir.
Yes, I did.
I know what you're doing.
If only we could, if only this was being recorded and we could refer back to it to truly understand whether or not you did pitch two different movies or the same movie twice. Alas, we'll never know.
Damn. I
Your
thought
third movie.
my third movie is a really fun head trip. It is also starring Sam Neill, which is pretty
Jurassic Park.
crazy.
Jurassic Park.
And this one is also about like madness taking over, but it's set in space. It's called Event Horizon. And it's got Lawrence Fishburne. This is like the first like rated R movie I think I saw on HBO late at night when my family wasn't around.
Popular
And,
first rated R movie.
Yeah.
Saw it in a theater. Saw this in a movie theater.
Really?
Jeez.
It is one of the ones like you're talking about seeing stuff too young and your mom forcing you to. This is that. So potentially interesting to revisit it. Very, very scared at the prospect of seeing this again.
Whoops.
Straight up.
The Wikipedia just brought up something that is science, not the movie.
Oh, it's the actual
The actual-
phenomenon.
I didn't know there was
Astrological-
something called Event Horizon. Is there something called Deep Horizon or Blue Horizon?
That is an oil drilling platform.
Deep Water Horizon was the
oil drill
rig that
okay.
blew up.
That's
Is there
not the
something
movie.
called Armageddon / Deep Impact?
Something called Vertical Horizon. It's a 90s band.
So is this a 1997 movie? Yeah.
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 Is there a third one?
I can bring a third one out.
Let's do a third one.
All right.
Let's do a third one.
This one, not a Sam Neill movie. Really wanted to have that Sam Neill trilogy
Trifecta.
on lock, but it was between
We should have picked Jurassic
Possession.
Park.
And the Wilder People movie.
Yeah.
Possession would have been. I've never seen Possession.
Possession's not that much of a horror movie. It's more
Yeah.
of a seductive thriller, and I thought it would be weird to watch with the four of you.
You don't want to watch an erotic game
really.
of cat and mouse with your friends?
I brought a movie. It's a real head trip. It's called Bloody Dicks. And I don't know, dude. I don't know.
And then I was like, I'll do Jurassic Park 3, so they have to pick either Event Horizon
He's
or...
not in Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah,
he's the main character.
Swings back around.
Yeah,
Oh, he's not in 2.
he's
Yeah,
on
that's
two.
that's a
Okay.
Goldblum joint.
But I settled on a classic, a staple, a movie that just celebrated its 30th anniversary, and I saw it in theaters, 35 millimeter. That is John Carpenter's They Live.
Oh, baby!
This is the glasses one, right?
Yep.
Okay. Tight. I like this John Carpenter thing. I want
Yeah.
to see that. I want to see Thing. Are we voting? Emma, do you want one more time to read?
I just want to read what They Live is about.
Okay.
It's a
Is that a scary
1988 American science fiction horror film.
Nah.
It's not super
It's a
scary.
horror film.
Okay.
Starring Roddy Piper. I don't know who that is.
Excuse me, excuse
David.
me,
know him
excuse
as
me,
Mr.
excuse me.
Rowdy.
Roddy Piper.
Oh, the wrestler man.
Yes.
Okay, I do know who he is.
This is that one that has that like 13-minute brawl, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
It's 6 minutes.
the
Okay.
ruling class are aliens concealing their. Ooh, that I would watch this.
Right, yeah.
It's
I
kind of
know.
like 1984
I like alien stuff.
when you think about
Body
it.
snatching. Do you want to go around and vote?
Yeah.
I want to see the head trip in the mouth of madness.
Oh God, I hate you.
In the mountains
God, I
of
hate you
madness.
both. You're
I
gonna
want to
vote for that
say
too.
you've made this very difficult for me because I just want to make clear that I love all three of these movies a lot.
I also just want to make it clear that Kyle is exactly like you and that he likes everything and is just excited to be watching a movie. I'm
Yeah.
also in that camp.
Cool.
So I don't know
I
whether or
am
not that
not.
actually matters.
That's 100% true.
He's
I
just
like
a fan.
every movie.
He's just an enthusiast.
But I especially like these 3 movies. My vote is In the Mouth of Madness, starring Sam Neill.
I straight up do not know
scariest.
anything about it.
That one sounds the scariest.
It's not.
It's got some jumpy
bad.
moments, but it's not that bad.
Is it like
What
demonic
kind of
stuff?
scaries is it?
It's
Cthulhu.
jumpies. It's jumpies.
Yeah, it's madness.
So monsters.
It's head monsters.
It's a lot of like head trip, like, oh, this is fucking crazy kind of shit.
It's really meta. That's like one of the
Yeah.
reasons I love it so much. It's like just super meta. If you enjoy literature at all, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Is this famous? Is anyone going to listen?
What, In the Mouth of Madness?
Yeah, I've never heard of it before.
Yes,
It's a
it
John
is
Carpenter
famous.
film.
It's a John Carpenter movie.
I had
It's
never
very
heard of
well
it
known.
before, and I had heard of the other two.
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying truth. I mean, yes, I have an agenda, but that is true. Oh, Hayden Christensen's in it as a little kid?
Yeah. Hayden Christensen's a little baby boy in it.
Okay.
Wait, in the Mouth of Madness?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he plays the paper boy.
I didn't know that.
And John Glover from Smallville, Lex
I
Luthor's
never
dad.
watched that.
Okay.
I like that guy. He's great. John Glover, check him out.
All right, I will try it.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
We're gonna turn all the lights off, right?
Yeah.
Well, we have some light on.
Okay.
Okay, cool. We're watching In the Mouth of Madness. Wait.
that recorded?
Oh, yeah, I recorded all of that.
I thought we were off air.
Oh, no, I'm going to cut 90% of it
Okay.
out. But
We gotta get a
It's
light.
real
We gotta get a
awkward.
light, an on-air light.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. All right. In the Mouth of Madness.
Yes! Let's get fucking high.
Is it a reference?
The movie you just watched. His name is John Trent.
Oh, really?
I've been
I always have
calling. We've been calling him Sam Neill the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, you've no doubt noticed that, if not you two, that I have a very hard time keeping names straight, particularly in improv scenes.
Well, I went for it. And...
Is there like a thing against just calling everybody in an improv scene their actual name?
I
No.
don't think so.
I personally don't like it because I think it takes me out. But I don't mind if other people do it. I don't like doing it myself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't
We
give
ran
a shit if
into
other
it
people do it.
a lot in game night or dinner for six, where it was like we had to refer to each other by name so often throughout the whole show, and it's like just
But at least with
Use
that
the
show,
real
you're playing grounded characters. Where it's like, if I'm doing like wacky ass stool pigeon shit and I'm like a homeless troll, I'm like, okay, maybe don't call me Emma because I'm being a homeless troll right now and that's confusing to me.
homeless troll.
Takes you out of your like
Emma's classic
grounded character work. Answer me these riddles 3, but don't call me Emma because that isn't me name. Okay, guys.
Oh, guys, this is the Mystery City.
This is the one everyone's like,
We
is
could
it
not figure
Dubai,
out-
Miami?
Is it Miami? Is it Chicago? Is it Dubai?
There's a
It's
tennis
not Chicago.
court. Does that help?
There's a pool. There are lots of pools.
It's
Yeah.
Seoul.
It's probably Dubai. Or, yeah, it could be Seoul. It could be
Well, goodbye, distraction.
Hong Kong. I don't like it when you take away my distraction.
I did feel like a little small like pinch in my heart when the TV went off. All right, we're good. We're recording. Everybody sounds good. We're good. Oh,
I'm sorry. It was too high. It was too high. Am I okay?
yeah, fair enough. You're good.
Strike that.
You're good. You're good. All right, so we watched In the Mouth of Madness.
Fuck yes, we did.
So just coming out the gate, because anybody who's listening to this no doubt heard an edited but all the nevertheless tense exchange about whether or not we would watch this movie. I would argue that it was not that scary.
Yeah, it's not that scary.
It wasn't that scary.
I was pretty freaked out the entire time.
It was kind of gross. There were gross parts.
Well, yeah, he's like, it's John Carpenter, right? So notorious for his sort of like monster creations and sort of practical monster effects.
Body horror.
Yes.
I would say he's not really like a body horror for sure. Well, I guess The Thing, yeah.
The Thing is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, The Thing. Yeah.
He made Halloween.
Right. Yes.
Who's Videodrome?
Huh?
Who's Videodrome?
That's David Cronenberg.
Cronenberg.
Yeah, I
That's
Cronenberg's
who
the
I'm
big
thinking
body
of, I think,
horror
as
guy.
yeah. Okay. None of that's ever come through the cast yet.
No, I'd love to get some Cronenberg in the mix.
Okay, so Emma, how was it?
There were creepy parts and there were gross parts. Mm-hmm. I was mostly bored.
What would you clock in your actual peepers on screen engagement time?
Probably about
it's a 90-minute movie.
I probably
87
watched
minutes looking at your laptop.
No, I was doing both. I'm a multitasker.
No, not possible.
It is possible.
Nathan at one point
8%.
No.
Nathan at one point in time was like, "Did you see that?"
And I did.
He did.
And I did.
No, you didn't because you answered and went, yeah. Like a mother says to their child when the child goes, Mom, did you see when that just happened? Yeah, I did. Wow.
Okay.
I'm proud of you, Slugger.
Well, it works when I tell children that when they do tricks on the monkey bars.
You forget that we're grown-ass adults.
No, I did see him put her face down to the glowing Bible shit.
Okay, that's literally
That's what you said. Did
3
you see
seconds.
that, though?
No, it was the when you saw the name of the movie on a movie marquee.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
But
that was
I
like
thought-
a big allusion to the end of the movie.
Right.
They're just showing you the rest
But-
of the movie in the middle of the movie. Pretty cool move.
It's not even foreshadowing. It's like for hitting you over the fucking head with this is coming.
Yeah,
It's not, but they're not trying to hide it. You're saying it like, oh, this movie's so obvious. It's like the point is that they're telling you what's going to happen.
I know, but a much better film that explores this idea of
For someone that watched 5% of this, you got some hot fucking takes.
Wait, are we jumping to the voting already? Is this episode over with?
I'm just
Nathan, thank
telling
for
you
coming.
that if you want to see a movie that explores a writer getting trapped in his own work,
From hell.
Can't wait.
Delirious with John Candy. He's a soap opera writer and he gets a concussion and ends up in his own soap opera.
Okay. Oh.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's not. Yeah, hasn't
It's
been.
not that great.
I've never heard of it, so I don't think anybody would
It's-
get the references. I haven't heard of it.
It's like middling John Candy.
But
you've
you
gone too
still
soon.
say that it's better than this film.
Yes.
Cool.
So let's talk a little bit about why you brought this, Nathan. I think
Yeah.
I know that you're. I know that you're trying to go for a Sam Neill trifecta. I think that he's great in this. I love Sam Neill. When did you see it? What sort of?
For sure. So I remember watching this movie on UPN during the day, edited like crazy, and still being freaked out, and then watching it 2 or 3 years later, unedited, and it's scaring the crap out of me. I love meta stuff. I always find that very
Even in
interesting.
improv?
Okay, come on. Yeah, no, I don't like. Well, no, sometimes I think it can work. Using your name.
I tried to do a meta scene a while back, and I feel like it was a big old turd in the bowl. Why are we talking about improv? We're already struggling to get people.
Let's
to
talk
listen
about
to this.
meta scenes we've done in improv before. I'll start. I have several.
Reconstruct all of our improv shows we've done.
We can literally watch the listenership curve plummet.
Somehow,
How do we get -8 downloads?
someone
this week?
a producer we've never met kicks the door in stop talking about improv.
Well, to go back to your question, and I don't think I thought about this when I chose it, but watching it, it was very much that whole idea of whatever the majority of people believe becoming reality, or basically that thread. I've seen, I love in the Sandman series or American Gods series, where the gods are only as powerful as the amount of people that believe in them. I just love that as an idea. It really sticks
It's
with me.
all organized religion.
Yeah.
I'm really spiritual, but I'm not religious.
It's a great premise for a horror movie. What if Stephen King became God and his shit was just the real world? It's fucking.
Which Stephen King then does eventually do in his books.
He
at
becomes
some
really?
point. Yeah, no, he totally watched this movie and was inspired and wrote
It
himself
makes sense.
I'm Stephen Kong. And I'm a writer.
Just so you know, before we started to record, we're like, let's do more character-based bits. I want your top shelf character.
Guys, we gotta do more
Guys,
comedy.
this is
We're not
my
doing enough
reel.
bits. And so that now we have that classic Wadad character, Stephen Kong.
I invented Kong dog toys.
Oh boy.
And I write horror.
I'm also related to King Kong.
Okay.
Oh boy, no, we got no.
Okay. You guys are just intimidated.
So this to me has like, this is like an interesting movie because like it is schlocky. I would say that almost across the board the acting is bad.
Yeah.
Except for Sam Neill.
Sam Neill's great.
Sam Neill is
he's
doing,
overacting.
He's
bro.
doing
Yeah,
a
he's-
dual performance.
for
He's
sure.
great, but it is kind of over the top.
100%.
To me, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah,
I think
it doesn't.
Like, we've tried to watch some prestige stuff. We've seen Hereditary. We watched The Witch now. Like, I think this sort of like griminess, these weird like walk-on characters that all have throwaway lines and seem like they're literally just somebody they pulled in off the street. Like, for me at least, are kind of like what the fuck moments that kind of help to maybe juice the like altered state of everything a little bit.
For
Does
sure.
anybody else?
Oh, I
have that
totally
vibe?
agree. I mean, the presence of what's his fucking name? Wilhelm von Nuremberg or whatever his fucking name is.
That's it.
The Vigo the Carpathian from Ghostbusters. The presence of him in this movie using his real voice, unlike in Ghostbusters, who was dubbed by Max von Sydow.
I didn't know that.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's why he sounds so fucking cool. And in this one, he sounds like Tommy Wiseau. Somebody pointed out, and it's so uncanny. And was that Emma's joke?
It was me. I
Okay.
pointed it out.
Let's credit where credit's due. You could find a full breakdown of all of our bits in the show notes and who invented them. It's wild. It's that he's just like mumbling drunkenly his way through every line. And he's got good lines, like the line when he shoots himself and he goes, "I have to do it. He wrote me this way."
That is a killer line. And then when Styles, the question mark love interest, like collapses on the bed, what does she say?
I'm losing me.
I'm losing me. These are cool lines in the context of like kind of like the narrative. Just
Not sold.
real biffed by some subpar acting. When did this happen in terms of Hollywood continuity? Before or after Jurassic Park?
After Jurassic Park.
So, biggest movie of all time. ILM.
Don't check any books about that.
65 million years in the making.
It's I mean, everybody remembers where they were when Man Walked on the Moon, JFK was shot, and when they saw Jurassic Park. But it's an insanely good
I was in a
movie that
theater.
holds up. Amazing.
Incredible anecdote.
Amazing.
I was in a Lowe's watching it on a big screen TV. I think that's true.
In a Lowe's?
Could have been a Sears.
The whole thing?
Wait, what?
Yeah. I saw a lot of movies this way.
On just
Sorry to
display
derail
TVs
your point.
at
Display
a department
TVs
store?
at a department store because I would go and I would be like, this sucks. I don't care about anything here. I just want to watch whatever's on this TV. And my mom would be like, fine.
You were like a boy who got trapped in a mall overnight and then had to live in the mall until another boy got trapped and you could be freed.
Yeah, exactly.
I was raised by mannequins. Wait, so your mom would just let display TVs babysit you while she shopped?
While she shopped, she just parked me. And I think my grandpa was probably like floating near me to make sure that I wasn't
the ghost of your
Abducted.
grandpa?
yeah,
just floating.
taken. Yeah, yeah. But
Jurassic
yeah.
Park's like a really good movie for that. Like,
Oh, it's perfect.
you're right. Like surround sound.
It's like the highest quality shit, and you're just like, they always have like a fake living room set up.
Wait, this is the first time you saw that movie?
Probably.
Okay.
I mean,
all right, wild.
I didn't watch it all the way through that way. I saw bits and pieces from it, but I remember distinctly watching the T-Rex scene, the first breakout scene, in like a fucking Sears or whatever, just watching it on the TV and hearing the surround sound and the bass and shit. And we didn't have anything like that at home.
Yeah.
And we didn't go to the movies a lot. Like I didn't get taken to the movies a ton. And so it was the best way to watch a movie at that point. So
I love that all your references are like just weird little clips from
Segments
segments of
of
the
it.
movie. Like everybody's like, a clever girl, right? And you're like, don't remember that. But how about when that lawyer got eaten while he was shitting?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Sorry, I totally derailed you.
Okay, so the point is, Jurassic Park, one of the biggest movies of all time, comes out. He does this directly after, or is it one of those Hollywood timeline things where like maybe this was done right before, or
it could have been filmed before, and not have funding.
Looking at it, it looked like it was shot after. Like he looks a little bit older to me, but I don't know
exactly
that for
the same as he looks in Jurassic Park. He's even
got I can't tell. Yeah,
Isla Nublar tan.
Yeah, it's hard to tell for sure.
Okay, so to me, I'm like, is this like one of those situations where somebody wins an Oscar and then they're in a James Bond movie without a top on, like where it's like where they're trying to sort of capitalize off of the newfound heat?
Are you calling out Halle Berry?
Yeah, Halle Berry.
First of all, my dude, not a James Bond movie. It's Swordfish.
Yeah, that's definitely Swordfish.
She was in a James Bond movie.
She was in a James Bond movie.
Die Another Day.
Die Another Day, where she played Jinx.
Yeah.
I think, I can't remember her last name, but it's just Jinx.
This is just my way of insinuating Hugh Jackman into the new James Bond role.
Yeah,
I'm
way to the
Jackman.
secret Hugh Jackman. Hopefully, they can find a spot for another middle-aged white man to play James Bond.
We got two different people in the room fact-checking on their phones. Nathan, what are you looking for?
Well,
Kyle, what are you looking for?
I'm just Googling Sam Neill.
I already have his IMDb up, and I think you're like very underappreciating what Sam Neill has done, even before Jurassic Park. Like Sam Neill was doing a lot.
He was famous before Jurassic Park.
Agreed.
To parents, like my parents knew who he was.
No, that is a fair point. This does not feel like it's in the same kind of like orbit, though. Yeah. So I'm just Kyle. What are you looking at?
I'm trying to focus, but you guys keep pulling me back into this podcast. I'm looking at Sam Neill's IMDb and just seeing the breakdown. I like to see the timeline.
Let's all guess. Let's all guess Sam Neill's age.
67.
That is too old.
Currently,
deadass snatched out of my mouth.
I'm gonna say
67.
I'm gonna say 60.
I'm gonna say 72, just because 67 was taken.
I would guess 65.
I think he's younger than my mom. 60.
Let me scroll up to the birthday.
Do you want to put any money on it?
Nope, I'm poor.
This is your chance to not be. Get some of that laptop money.
Yeah.
No.
He was born in 1947. Do the math.
So he's like 71.
Whoa.
Price is Right rules. Nathan wins.
Pay up.
Wait, didn't Nathan say?
No, I said 72.
Price is Right
Oh,
rules.
Price is Right rules.
Sorry.
You goofed it. You
Price is
blew it.
Right rules.
Okay.
This is good content.
One thing I will say, though, is Sam Neill also was known for doing horror.
Really?
Before this movie, for sure. I mean, Jurassic Park is technically a horror. He was Damien in The Omen 3 before this movie came out. It was like a huge thing. Possession came out before this movie, which is like a very popular foreign horror. So, I mean, like he's a part of the genre.
Okay,
he has good horror eyes. Like those big piercing eyes that look scared.
And he's also got a very large mouth, I think, like hit
good for
at
screaming.
the end when he's sort of like when he's screaming himself awake during the bus nightmare, and then when he's sort of cackling fully mad by the end of the movie. Really large mouth.
Should we explain the premise of the movie?
Okay, well, here's the thing, and let's get it on the cast.
Yeah, let's get it
let's
out
get
there.
it out there. Let wet daddy's vote. Personally, I feel like this is the part where the episode really gets bogged down. In that live episode, Katie Stone graced us with a moment of genius in that she recapped that movie front to back in under 60 seconds. I challenge anybody in the room want to pick up that mantle and see if they can book it
do
through. Okay.
You didn't watch it.
I did.
All the more.
No. Yes. Let's let this
Yeah,
all the
this
more
is
reason.
this is. I
Sam
cannot
Neill
wait.
is an
Okay, wait. Your time is starting right now.
Sam Neill is an insurance investigator. A publishing house hires him to find their missing famous Stephen King-like author. He and the sexy lady go to New Hampshire to find him. They end up in a creepy town that turns out to be part of the author's imagination. Do we live in a horror book? Author is God. Author is God and writes this creepy book, and all the people are like zombies, and he has to give the book to the masses because then the masses are going to read it and all become zombies. Basically, the author is like brainwashing everyone with his work.
You did it in 30.
Yeah.
I think there's you're like, yeah, baby.
I was paying attention, bitches.
But he was writing it the entire time.
Yeah.
Since like the credits rolled, it was already going.
But we didn't know that at the time.
Ooh. Okay, fair.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's a weird.
Discovered.
They've designed a loop where the movie loops back in on itself.
There is a because of that, I think like begs to be rewatched. There's like not so subtle and subtle insinuations about like what is actually happening, and so I think it might bear an additional viewing. Emma, what do you say? Hey, a first time viewing. Did
I not just recap it?
It was a radio play. It was a radio play though.
Saw many images. I saw many images. Listen, you guys don't understand. I am very good at multitasking.
So, because now I'm trying to sort of like piece together different elements of it in terms of like not what is real and what isn't real, but like what is. Okay, let me just jump in. So Styles then is. Wait, so is she written out? Why does Charlton Heston not remember who? So Styles is the aforementioned sexy lady from Emma's 30-second recap.
Yeah.
She's the editor of Kane's books.
She reads books for a living.
Yeah. She does a lot of interesting mouth acting with her glasses in one scene. I think it's to try to make her seem sort of like a sexual creature that these two might fuck. They don't. Spoiler alert.
Zero chemistry.
But they do hit each other a lot.
He punches her 3 times in the face. The first one is like, okay, maybe.
She's trying to kill him. She's a zombie.
Yeah. When he punches her in the mouth after she swallowed his car keys, justified or unjustified, where do we stand, podcast? Anyway.
That's a joke.
Just
to be clear.
It was really gratuitous.
Is Styles real, or has she been written out of the real timeline?
What's real,
dog? Okay, but like, don't do that because that's like not helpful. I'm like, let's work through it right now.
But reality is what
Sutter Kane wants it to be.
To be or whatever.
So, but she's like, do we think she's a figment of his imagination? No. She exists in the initial pass, but then it's been kind of rewritten out of it in the loop.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because she
just to fuck with Sam Neill.
Possibly,
or she's a device to get in us.
Yeah, she is a device. I think what happens is
because we're reading the book.
Yeah.
Guys,
we're watching the movie. Yeah,
Nathan, this is that meta shit.
She becomes a device because she existed prior to him getting this power. They have conversations where she's like, "Hey, look what I can do now," basically. And she's kind of like the whole time she gets there, she's doing this like, "I'm so foggy" type acting. So to me, that's sort of like her becoming being pulled out of the story. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I just want to point out every time she does initiate some sort of like affection towards him, it's always really uncomfortable.
It's really like forced. There's a violence to it. She tries to kiss him at one point.
Well, she's doing it to manipulate him. Like she's never doing it sincerely.
Well, you mentioned that it's violent. So what do you think the motivation of that is then?
Well,
it's like
the first time she does it. It's in the hotel, and he's like trying to get information out of her, and it seems like she's doing it to like change the subject or to divert his attention.
But the thing is that it's not even it's there's layers to it where she does it, and yes, surface level, it's like she's trying to manipulating him into not having this conversation. So she's like, "Oh, kiss me," and he's like, "Not." No. He's like, "What are you doing?" And it comes on so strong. There's like that extra layer to it where it's like a shitty author writing someone trying to manipulate and him reacting to it as a real person would and being like, what is this?
So what do you make of Styles making out with Sutter Kane in his like bordello writing room? What is going on there? Guys, explain to me this movie. Because
women are sex objects.
But I guess I'm trying to like wrap my head around like what her like status or like what her function is in that point, and like whether or not like is she like an emissary that brings us into that world because we need somebody to be like a guide?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's somebody that has some familiarity with him that's not the quote-unquote hero of the story. So you can kind of see someone who we've been living with, experience reading the book. So you see how it affects people. And then her like rubbing of him in the writing room is, to me, just like her losing her mind. She's read the book and gone like, oh my God, you're a genius. But not even that kind of thing where she's like
adoration,
horny for him. It's more of a religious thing. It's more of a like, this person is perfect,
a conduit for these new gods.
Right. Exactly.
I think another way to look at it is, up until this point, we've only ever seen the crazies be like the townspeople or like really one note characters, and now who are still showing some sort of sentience of, I can see you because he is writing you right now, and I'm a part of this fictional world. And by the time that she's doing that with him, and like they're making out and stuff, that's just like her fully no more control of this person who we thought was in control of herself. And now there's no control. It's just Sutter, whatever Sutter Kane wants. Which I think is also a really easy way to kind of retcon like the bad acting and the cheesy lines and all of that. It's this crappy horror writer.
Well, because I think like those, like particularly those like one line characters, like I don't think for a minute that like everyone's like, yeah, we got like some really top shelf talent and we're excited about it. I mean, I do think that is like, that's all like intentional delivery, or at least intentional direction, whether those are like good actors or not. So, I mean, it's like the more that we get into this conversation, you think so? No?
I don't know. I think a lot of it may just be bad acting. And I think the reading of it is...
But it's like almost across the board, with the exception of Sam Neill.
Here's my thought. If John Carpenter had never made another movie that didn't have bad acting in it, I would say like maybe.
I'm right, okay.
But he has made several movies that have extremely bad performances in them.
Okay.
His remake of Children of the Corn is fucking miserable. It's awful. The performances are terrible.
So he's not an actor's director.
Yes. I think it's a function of... He is a story first, visuals first kind of director. The acting to him is just sort of like functional. You know, he wants good performances out of leads, right? He's like really focused on getting a good performance out of Sam Neill. And the guy that plays Sutter Kane seemed to not really care about the female lead in this movie at all, which that's something.
Well, I would argue his direction wasn't great for Sutter Kane.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't either.
What is the significance of like all of these kind of like disembodied arms reaching in at various points and kind of like jump scaring us,
creepy.
but course correcting? Is that like the hand of God manipulating the person?
Do you remember when she first walks into that door, right? That like old rusty door, and you see the hand? Like the entire time that she's doing that, he's typing. So and he's typing everything that is
happening
occurring in that moment. Like every time you see him typing on screen, and like whenever he stops typing, that's when he talks. And then he like goes back to typing. I'll
have to rewatch.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's definitely worth a rewatch.
This is wild to me. Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole. Like, I really don't think there's that much there.
There's like there's a couple of layers.
I mean,
it's always fun to dissect, really chop it up, the old film buddies, and just really kind of dive into a piece of fiction and break it apart. You know?
Yeah, I don't know.
I do think
it didn't resonate with me.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. I do think that like I said this last time, and it's starting to like become like a thing where I'm like, ooh, like maybe it's worth finding some way to essentially address it. I don't feel like as scared watching these movies anymore as we were when we were first starting the podcast.
Right.
Some of that might be becoming sort of like a nerd to the kind of rhythms of them. But I do think that like the way we watch the movies neuters them big time, like it sort of diminishes that effect.
100%.
So I think like us all taking the piss out of it takes the teeth out of it. Not watching the entire thing may impact your appreciation of it.
But I liked The Witch last week.
You did?
Yeah.
I thought you didn't.
No, I loved it.
You did give it a thumbs up.
I gave it a thumbs up, and I talked about how I loved it.
I've sort of in my head decided that you hate all of these movies because it's a miserable
liked The Witch
exercise.
a lot. I like People Under the Stairs a lot. Like,
it was also good, yeah.
I am liking movies, and I recognize that I do have my laptop on and I'm looking at it a lot of the time. I really am listening and paying attention to.
Well, I think that, like, so for example, when we saw Scream, or, I think, no, I know what it was. Last week I watched The Conjuring by myself.
Ooh, creepy movie by yourself, I think. I didn't like it by myself.
I think it was very scary. And I had to pause it a lot, and I had to just take the headphones off a lot. So I do think these movies still have the potential to scare. There is something, we are losing something a little bit in the context of this.
What I think a big part of it is that a lot of what we've been watching lately, is not scaring you. Is not the movie's primary focus.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Scaring you is not the primary focus of In the Mouth of Madness. It's not the primary focus of The Witch or The Ring. The Ring was just like a straight up, like, this exists to scare you. And I think it's fair. We all thought it was a scary movie. Emma didn't, but for different reasons.
But I did think it was scary later.
Oh, okay.
It's also, that is part of it too.
Yeah.
I'm not scared in the moment when I'm here.
Yeah.
And then I go home and I'm fucking scared.
Yeah.
But talking about something like The Conjuring, that movie is a Warner Brothers studio production designed to make you scared. It is impeccably timed jump scares. It's like creepy imagery. It's a
The ice machine just dropped some ice and it was terrifying.
My ice machine just decided to drop something at that exact moment. It is designed specifically to scare you, and that's it. That's all it's interested in. It's not interested in any bigger ideas than that necessarily.
Yeah.
And so I think about other movies like Insidious from the same director. That'd be a great one for us to watch because same thing.
It will scare us.
It will scare you. Like, I feel very confident in saying, like, Insidious will scare you.
Yeah.
Especially if we maybe invest a little bit more and stop doing as many bits throughout the movie, because we're really, and I'm one of the biggest offenders, especially in this one because I'd seen it multiple times. So I'm just like, whatever, another ride on the old In the Mouth of Madness train for me.
I think one thing. So we haven't kind of like talked about beyond like our sort of quick recap. Some of those visuals, like you said, that Carpenter kind of like focuses on the narrative and the visuals a lot. So there are some great moments in this movie. I think that entire sequence with the kid on the bike, kind of coming in and out of focus, particularly when he like falls. Well, two shots, like when he falls back behind the car and we see his face kind of illuminated by the brake lights.
Entirely by brake lights, yeah.
It's very cool.
The creepy face?
Yeah, well, there's first just that kid's face, but then when he comes back and he's old, he, like, basically anywhere that white fright wig goes, like in and out of like our lines of sight, it's super spooky.
It's kind of a corny wig and face, if you get like
makeup.
A good close-up look at it. But there's something about it, man. It got me.
Well, it's a gaunt little body too.
Yeah, no, it's uncanny.
It's uncanny.
Exactly.
It's that thing where it's writing. Putting that character on the bike is such a smart choice to make like an old person, because he's like very capably pedaling a bike, and then to see that shock of white hair, initially you're like, this is a little bit weird, and then you see the face and it's like, this is fucked up.
So there's also some really great practical effects, like monster effects. Cedar the back of his head. What is the guy in Total Recall that
Quaid? I don't know.
What's the monster name? It's like Quartho.
Yeah, Quaid.
Quaquad.
That sequence of Sam Neill kind of like running out of Dobbs End,
chased by these eldritch horrors.
Yeah. That's pretty great.
The monster wall. I love that effect so much. It's just like giant old door that's like covered in blood and breathing.
Yeah.
That was really creepy.
Really cool effect. Really cool.
Also,
effect.
when she contorted her body and it was making all the bone crack noises, that was gross.
She full crab walks. There's spun around backwards.
She went all Exorcist.
I think the most effective visual in that moment, though, is just the image of her normal head peeking out from the car door, which is like, that's too low for her head to be.
Too low and too far out without us seeing shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. It's another uncanny thing. It's very effective. And then you see her with like the upside down head, and it's like, that's creepy, but it is also a little rubbery. Whatever.
As somebody like we're not being hyperbolic with the name of the podcast. I do think I'm afraid of the dark, especially like a sort of like inky black thing. Like lakes are scarier than pools. You know what I mean? Like just things that you kind of can't see the bottom of.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yes.
So, and then I also am, sort of like recovering like dime store pulpy horror novel like kid. So she's just reading pages from the manuscript and he's like torn back. Or I guess Sutter Kane's like torn back reality, and Sam Neill is like looking into the abyss as she describes these sort of like Cthulhu style monsters like coming out from the depths.
Can we really?
That is the scariest moment in this movie to me.
Yeah, it was pretty effective. Yeah.
Can we really like walk you through it? Because like Sutter Kane first like just puts himself up against that breathing door, and then becomes 2D, and then rips like the same shape of rip that we've seen in that poster the entire time. Then he rips himself open, and then there's just this abyss of darkness. And
the inverse of his ripped reality is like manuscript pages. And then he's just describing things coming up from like the sort of carrion pit.
Yeah.
The words that she's saying there are actual, like straight up taken directly from H.P. Lovecraft's books.
I was going to say, it sounded extremely Lovecraftian. I love all those words like carrion pit. I love Stygian is one of my favorite words. It's so fucking good.
It's like it's just words that sound like they're describing ancient stinks.
Yeah.
So, Nathan, you were saying that like Carpenter and Stephen King are actually friends in real life. So like if you're Stephen King, is this like a flattering portrayal?
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes it's taking the piss. Like you just have this like cynical like central character who's like, all the writing's bad, and then it's ultimately sort of like succumbs to it. I mean, is that like flattering? You think it is?
I don't think it's flattering, but I think he's probably like, oh, that's sweet. My friend made a movie about me.
I think they probably had conversations about it, because there's a lot of lines of where Sam Neill's character is calling him a hack horror writer and all this stuff, and it is a little bit like Samuel's character gets his comeuppance at the end, like he is proven wrong that he's not a hack horror writer, or more specifically that it doesn't matter whether he's a hack horror writer. His words have power. So I think Stephen King would probably be flattered by that.
And John Carpenter is considered a hack director.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time a movie comes out, and then it takes 30 years before people appreciate it.
Yeah,
so
there is a little bit of that hack badge of pride probably with both of them, I would imagine.
I think Stephen King is pretty open about like not... He knows he's not being seen as literary by most people.
It's not literary fiction, but he's like wildly popular.
He's wildly popular, wildly fucking rich.
Yeah. But we've also come to a point, I think, now with Stephen King where we are starting to recognize the literary value of his stuff. Yeah. Whereas I think when this movie was made, it was still kind of like, it's books for kids or whatever. You know, it's funny books. But now we are at a point where like Stephen King stuff is being treated as prestige, which as a horror fan is like, that to me is correct. He's a master of the form.
He's created so many tropes
that
have infiltrated our society.
A whole style.
I've never read a Stephen King book.
Well, so one thing, I think it just generally as a culture, we're becoming more comfortable with genre, like elevating genre to kind of like high status. So it's cool. It's good news for Tolkien. It's good news for Stephen King. What's her name? J.K. Rowling. She's obviously cashing them checks. Okay, so if this is if reality has turned, right, and reality is just contingent upon what the majority of people believe is true. Likes horror movies, Nathan. Do you read horror novels, or did you as a kid?
Yeah, my mom was a big Stephen King fan. She had like a subscription, so every month we'd get a new book, and I
love
a
it.
Good amount of them.
Kyle, read horror novels or more of a movie kid?
I have read horror novels. I was more of a movie kid in my later years, but as I was younger, I did read a lot. I read a lot of Goosebumps, but not just that. Like I would go to the library and just like find whatever.
Right.
Just give me any horror novel or whatever.
So all of us in terms of waves, we're all either getting swept up in that book curse or that movie curse.
Yeah.
Emma didn't read Stephen King novels, doesn't like scary movies. You're the last person standing in this new reality. We come at you.
I'm Sam Neill.
Yeah, you are Sam Neill, right?
Cool.
We're coming at you, tentacles akimbo. I got a weird fetus growing out of the back of my head. Do you try to maintain the friendship? Or do you put us out of our misery?
I've got an old man, a naked old man attached to my. Oh my god! He's attached to my ankle.
I am unrecognizable.
Can I just ignore y'all? Can I just go away?
We're coming right at you.
Well, I mean, but if you do, like if you just shut the door, we are going to ooze through it, and that door is going to start to breathe. So eventually, I mean, I guess you could just ignore us.
Yeah, you could.
That
sustain
manuscript
it.
kept turning up, though. We were like a bad penny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd kill you.
All right, fair enough.
Fair enough. I would probably want you to. I wouldn't be expressing that in the moment, but in my deepest heart.
I don't know if I could, though. I might just have to become a monster.
Who does everybody identify most with in this movie? Oh yeah, go.
The old lady on the bus who's just like, you should have seen the Bowery in the Depression. Bodies piled 2 or 3
3 to 4
high.
feet high. Yeah.
I'm the razor-toothed girl who's like, it's mommy's day. That's me, baby. She's got a fucked up face and she can control dogs.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. What was the line that the editor says when he smashes open the window with the axe?
Oh, I don't remember.
Do you read?
Oh yeah. The agent.
Yeah,
Do you read Sutter Kane?
Yeah, that's that. I'm that guy.
You're that guy.
Yeah.
Right, fair enough.
I'm
with his cool ass eyes.
I'm the guy getting the shit beat out of him by the cop. That's me.
All right. So, anything else we want to cover before we jump into votes?
One thing that I wanted to talk about real quick is because there was a moment in the movie where Sutter Kane and John Trent, Sam Neill, are having a conversation in a confessional booth, and they're sort of philosophizing about the nature of reality. Emma audibly went, ugh. As they're college freshmaning all over the screen, which fair. But I was also thinking about, 2 things. One, Sutter Kane at one point says, like, I've sold over 1 billion copies. My book has been translated to 18 languages. It's bigger than the Bible. And I was like, no, that's not bigger than the Bible. Yeah, way more languages, way more copies. Yeah. Anyway, the larger point is
Kyle's a real Bible head.
Yeah, fuck you. I'm the Bible defender.
They call me Kyle Gideon Romero.
Y'all didn't know. Blah, 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 blah. I'm a Gideon. The larger point I was thinking about in that moment is how he's talking about how these people believe in me. I've turned into a religion and all this stuff, which might have seemed a little bit silly in the moment, but now in 2018, motherfuckers can't view politics through any lens other than Harry Potter. Yeah, right? Like every new bad politician comes out and people of our generation are like, that's Voldemort. And it's like, oh shit, that is 100% what's happening. Like this is religion for people. It's totally replaced it for them.
Well, I would also bring up, that reminded me, that scene, I forgot about this until you said that. It's L. Ron Hubbard. I mean, he straight up wrote a series of fiction novels, turned it into a religion.
Yeah.
Well, we're also like 10 years away from like incels and Alex Jones devotees because starting their own church or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not so far fetched.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of, do people literally believe that Harry Potter is true? No. But there's plenty of people that would identify as Christian who don't believe in the literal truth of the Bible, right? So what's really the difference there necessarily, you know?
Have you listened to that one podcast that goes through every chapter of Harry Potter and then breaks it down and it's like, what's the lesson that we can learn?
That sounds like hell to me.
It's pretty interesting.
I'm sure it's interesting, but also, I mean, interesting in the way that being stabbed with pitchforks by the devil would
do you not like Harry Potter?
Wait, do you not like Harry Potter?
I like Harry Potter just fine.
Okay.
I think
you just don't like
this sort of, and it's not about Harry Potter specifically.
Just any of those
it's the
things
easiest
that people
example,
latch
but
onto.
Superhero movies, anything that people are like, this person's Tony Stark. Elon Musk is literally Tony Stark, and it's like, guys, can we just focus on like what's actually happening in the real world right now? It's just it's very frustrating, the fanification of everything.
Well, to be fair, this podcast specifically is run by 2 religious studies majors who just like do a contextual analysis of the one chapter every time. and they like tried and say, how can we apply like the lessons of Harry Potter, like the way that Harry Potter's a good person,
The Tao of
the
Harry
trials that he, So it's like pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I think stuff like that is ultimately like doing more good than anything, because I think people need a moral structure, and if it's Harry Potter, that's fine.
Is it? I mean, is it though? Like
not
fiction being your like moral compass.
Well, I mean, now
Bible, you just got called out.
Now we're getting into religion, which I've like
they call me Steven Necronomicon.
Do you want to know what I used to say a lot in college?
Oh boy!
Oh wait, were you a real Anne Rice head? Are we about to hear some
No.
wisdom?
I said that the closest thing I had to a religion.
Oh boy!
You might as well pack your bag up now. Whatever this is, it's going to destroy us.
It's Franny and Zooey by J.D. Salinger. And there's a moment in it where they talk about they were all on this radio show for geniuses. And Seymour,
and
the
like,
oldest last child,
This is bringing back.
would make the other ones like all dress up, even though it was for the radio. And his whole thing was like, one of them like gave him like lip, like, why do we have to dress up? It's radio. I'm butchering this. And he's like, you got to shine your
JD.
shoes for, there's like an old lady in Des Moines, like,
Yes,
yeah, ironing. And like the idea that like even like, even someone you're not aware of at all, like the most base person you can think of, which is an old lady in Des Moines ironing, deserves reverence.
Yeah.
And it's just humanism, but I decided to put it in Franny and Zoe
this
terms.
sort of like actor in you, and then this sort of like literature student in you was like, I mean, that's deeply resonant. I would imagine.
Yeah, and also she had a breakdown, and I was like, it was very romantic. The idea of like being so overcome with the world that you need to take a break.
when you later tonight, when you apply some of Nathan's like lucid dreaming techniques, do you think you'll be like just a clove cigarette? Like in your dream, just sort of like.
Can I tell you what I smoked in college?
Oh yeah, man.
I probably already have.
Some kind bud.
Smoked, sure, yes, but I smoked Capri 120s.
Oh, the thin ones. You have to.
Thin.
You call them your Jackie O cigarettes.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, let's rate.
Smoking's
this
bad.
Let's get to it.
One last thing.
Please.
This was in the very beginning of the movie. This is a musical cue. Most of the music is just made by John Carpenter, except for one use of an instrumental of the Carpenters' We've Only Just Begun. And this is, I believe, the first horror movie to use it. It has been used again in Stephen King's 1408.
Ah.
It's a very creepy effect.
What is 1408?
It's
Which
like
one is that?
it's a evil hotel room.
Okay.
Right. But it's not The Shining.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
Steven,
different evil hotel.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just the one room
Yeah.
instead of the entire hotel.
Well, that seems a lot less scary.
Dude, that
Just
movie's-
avoid that room.
That movie's intense.
I haven't seen it in a long since it came out in theaters. I'd like to revisit it. Listen to that. Future guests
All
bring
right.
1408. That's
Or The Shining.
kind
We
of
haven't
a
watched
weird
The
one.
Shining.
I haven't watched The
movie.
Shining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
Okay.
movie fucked me up. Okay.
Did this movie fuck you up? Let's vote.
I mean, again, I keep saying I'm not scared, and then I go home and I am scared.
What do you think will like kind of pop
What
into
images
your-
will
Yeah, yeah.
pop up at
That's a
night?
good question.
That is a good question because that's what usually happens. Definitely.
Tentacles under doors.
Yep, that was not cool. The hand,
Yeah.
and then the breaking glass. The creepy crawly Spider Woman. When Styles pops out of the car and does her twisties. And then
There goes Styles again. She's doing her twisties.
It's pretty bad. It's the worst case of twisties I've ever seen.
that door
Styles?
was creepy, but I don't think that's gonna like haunt me. Like it's more like people's faces, like the creepy man before he shot himself. And
Yeah.
Vigo.
like
Vigo's got a scary face, man. We could talk in a future episode about how bad Ghostbusters 2 fucked me up.
Yeah.
That's a big one
it's
for
a
me.
He's
scary
got one of
one.
those Iron Curtain faces where it's just like there are bread lines and just abject despair where I grew up.
Yeah, a lot of.
But now I'm in Hollywood.
A lot of lives lived in that face.
So give us thumbs up.
I I think I get why it's interesting and people like it. It's a thumbs down for me. I think one of the main things is like the one female character kind of sucked.
100%.
And like was just really objectified, but in a weird way. Like even she was an agent of him.
Yeah.
And I know that was the point of the story, but it was just kind of like, I don't.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
Not the only female character.
Not the only female character. There's the old lady.
The old lady's
but like she's pretty tangential.
Right. Let's also not forget about Busy Phillips. Fully smacking her fist against her palm as she's prepared to go beat Sam Neill to death.
Now, I take issue with the idea that the old lady is tangential. She's a accomplished fine artist. She paints all those horrible portraits of despair. She's got her husband, I guess.
I think her
naked,
husband
shackled to her ankle, and then they strap on what must have been. Is it an animatronic version of her at the end?
It looks like an animatronic version of her.
Because she cannot hold up whatever that was.
Right.
She does rule, but
okay.
Yeah, arguably
no, she's cool,
tertiary.
but like she's a very minor role.
Tertiary.
I'm just saying, like,
yeah, that's fair. I think. I mean, I think
there's
that
only 3 really major roles in this film.
Yeah.
There's so like it's one of those roles where it's like, you could argue. I don't think make this argument of like, it's all in service of this thing because there's all this meta shit, and it's like one of those things where but at the end of the day, it's still like the text of the movie, and we have to watch it, right?
Yeah.
So I agree with that. 100%.
I would still say it's kind of sexist.
That's what I'm saying. Is that it is?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are lots of sexist things I like. I'm not saying that like is why you shouldn't like it.
Right.
Like there are movies that are sexist that I still enjoy.
But there wasn't enough.
There just wasn't enough. And this is not a genre that drags me in naturally.
Sure.
So if there isn't going to be some hook for me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So give us a score.
I wonder if we would have liked that character more if it was like Angelica Houston or like.
Well, yeah, because she's a fucking incredible actress.
Yeah,
exactly. I think Better Acted could have found something that wasn't on the page and turned it into something more.
Yeah, it is a weird character though, because it's like she's not like a femme fatale, but she's got that because it's like this. It's kind of like this sort of like boilerplate mystery a little bit. Or like pot boiler, what am I trying to say? Anyway, and then for like the back half of her screen time, she's kind of like in a fog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, it's like some tough acting to have to kind of be like, like it's like
she's
pretending to be high.
A literal prop.
At
many moments too.
But she does get her fingies up in that back skull, which is that's kind of hot.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not all objectified. It's some of it's pretty hot.
But again, like I do get there's cool stuff.
Yeah,
it's just not for me.
Give us that score.
I would give it 5 soothing bus rides with that old lady. No, not 5. That's too many. 3.
Oh, okay.
Kyle, why don't you go?
Sure. Hey, thumbs up. Welcome to Kyle's Thumbs Up Corner.
He's the horror auteur's best friend.
Yeah, bring it on, guys.
Have you ever done a thumbs down?
I've never given a thumbs down to any movie.
That's a challenge,
show.
future.
I probably won't. Yeah, I would be interested if a guest could bring one. It's like, Kyle's going to hate this.
Scary movie.
Oh, 3. Yeah, you'd really be pushing me. It'd have to be a comedy, and it'd have to be, it's pretty much any comedy.
I'm funny. What if it's a little known kind of direct-to-video thing, like Chainsaw Killer 7, Kyle Romero has a small dick. Wait a minute, you guys. What is
Hey, hold on. It's just the guest performing every role.
Let's film our own movie.
This podcast does end in a Be Kind Rewind kind of situation where we're just like...
I will say, just sidetrack a teeny tiny bit. I did watch the movie Puppet Master over the course of the past 3 nights, and it was tough sailing for me because it kind of stunk. I wasn't really into it.
You still got through it.
I got through it. I did finish it. And there's like cool moments in it, but overall I was like, this is kind of boring.
Hey,
so
really
there is a horror movie.
Stick it out and watch Puppet Master versus Demon Toys.
Yeah, or Puppet Master and Evil Bong and all that shit. Like all those Charles Band stuff.
Are you making these movies up?
No, these are all real.
Puppet Master, I do want to see Evil Bong.
I do legitimately want to see Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich, which is the newest.
Tiny Hitlers?
Is it about Muppet babies,
puppets?
but Hitlers?
The puppets in the Puppet Master movies have a Nazi past.
Oh God!
Wait, it's the newest. This is like contemporary.
It was
movie?
made by S. Craig Ziegler. I hope I'm getting that director right. He made Bone Tomahawk, and he made Brawl in Cell Block 99. Both of which,
like they're things we'll know.
This is just a pedophile from a country that we don't have an extradition treaty with.
He's a real director. He's a real director, and he is very good at shocking violence. Like truly, there are moments in Bone Tomahawk and Brawl in Cell Block 99 that even I, a seasoned horror hound, am like, I've never seen anything like this. So I'm very pumped to see Puppet Master the Littlest right, because now it's just all about that. He doesn't have any other shit going on. Can't wait. Okay. Anyway, digression over. Thumbs up for me. I love In the Mouth of Madness. I love basically every John Carpenter movie I've seen. I don't think I've seen a John Carpenter movie that I don't like. Mm-hmm. Love Sam Neill. He's great in his cameo in Thor Ragnarok. I just watched that the other day.
Wait, what is he in that?
He plays Odin in the play about the Thor story. And so, yeah, whatever. It's great. Scariness rating, that old man on the bike sequence is really sticking in my head. And the first time I saw it really got in there. The shot of her, all weird with the car door. Yeah, I'm going to have to give this a 4, I think.
Cool.
4 out of 5 unlit cigarettes, because there's a lot of moments in the movie where Sam Neill goes to light a cigarette and he can't do it.
I'll go, if you don't mind. So comedy.
It's your thing, man.
The guest gets the final word.
Yeah. That was the intention.
We saved the guest for last.
You go and save the guest for last.
We should do a live show at a karaoke bar.
Oh, that's a good idea. Wait,
we
no,
just
it's not. It's a terrible idea.
We just like hum along to John Carpenter themes. I'd say thumbs up. I do want to rewatch it. Like I said, I've been having these sorts of like weird things that bleed into the Saturday after we record these. We saw Scream. I watched Scream 2 the next day just out of curiosity. I scratched that Conjuring itch. There's some other weird thing. I want to watch Descent. It's on Netflix. I'm probably going to. I can't wait for somebody to bring it. I want to see it.
Wait for your boy. I want to watch that with you.
So thumbs up for this. I'm glad that we're getting into this Carpenter stuff. I still want to see the thing. I think there are moments of this that are sort of like maybe like dismiss it out of hand because they're too like kind of like corny even for me. It sort of takes me out of the movie. But there are moments that I think will kind of resonate. I don't think it's scary. I'm just gonna go out there and say that I think that it's like pretty good filmmaking. Like the story is compelling. I like Sam Neill as much as the next guy. Again, I'm sticking to what I said before. That whole sequence where he's staring into the sort of like infinite black fucked me up. It will stick with me. It will only intensify my fear of the dark. So I'm giving this 2 out of 5 gazes into the abyss.
Great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, I'm obviously a big thumbs up. I love this movie. I think this movie is super scary, and I think it's one of those things where just give it a couple of days. Because that's like all the best like Lovecraft stuff, right? It kind of gets this little worm gets in your ear, yeah.
Next time you get high, you'll be thinking about it and going,
well, I think
what?
We need to do like just a special episode where we like do what Emma suggested at the top, where we like just read off the list of what we watch and see where we're standing with all of them, because this is something that I think will, like you said, will kind of like
yeah.
And then I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. Really pleasant paintings that don't ever change.
Perfect. Anybody got anything else to say before we do these plugs?
I don't think so.
All right, great. What do you got to plug, my dude?
Oh, so much. Come see me in the Rose, Pleasure Lagoon, with Emma every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. until the end of September at Cold Town Theater.
Excellent.
And then also every Thursday at 8:30 in the rest of this month, and maybe longer, come see the Frankenfriends.
Terrific.
Nice.
Name is still currently Frankenfriends?
Yes.
Okay. TBD. Might be changing.
We don't have any inside information.
What about you guys?
I would like to plug. This won't be out tomorrow night.
It won't.
Never
no,
mind.
will not.
I would like to plug, in that case, Pendulum. It's a sketch show that I do with 2 other hosts of this show and other friends of ours.
So
Emma is Sam Neeling very hard right now.
Guys, I've been very sleep deprived this week.
Hell yeah. Would have hoped that it would have made this movie scarier, but we shot.
Well, I think it will when I go to bed.
Oh yeah, sweet.
Cool.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, go Facebook Pendulum Sketch. We do have a show coming up in I guess late September and throughout October.
Saturdays in October.
Saturdays at
7 p.m.
Okay, awesome.
I would argue that Pendulum is very Cthulhu-esque sketch.
Oh baby, we're trying.
Oh hell yeah, dude, we're getting there.
We love the old ones.
we love world building. We really love our mythology. We have lots of beloved characters.
Right at the moment, we're really actually kind of like bristling against the yoke of having to make it comedy because we're like, what if it's just like a series of like really dark vignettes?
We really are
funny. Fuck you, Dad.
I would actually compare us to Faulkner. Because we've kind of created our own world. Like, you know how he has that whole county that he made up? We're like Faulkner of sketch comedy.
It kind of sounds like you're a little like Sutter King.
We all reach back simultaneously. Don't touch our gross heads. And then, as always, we are Deaf Afraid on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and wearedeafafraid.com. The podcast is available on all those places that you listen to podcasts. So, like and subscribe. Please tell your friends.
Tell your friends about
I mean,
it. Yeah.
come on, what are you doing?
If you love this,
leave a
you're
review,
listening
you
to it.
motherfuckers.
You made it this far. Yeah.
Think of this as like multi-level marketing, but not a triangle scheme.
Yeah, I mean,
Triangle scheme?
Pyramid scheme.
On that note, just everybody try not to succumb to a triangle scheme. And thank you for listening.
Stay safe and don't get Cthulhu.
Don't get triangled. Bye.
Bye.
Oh no.
Is that Dylan? Fuck. Dylan?
Why would Dylan be here?
Because he knows.
This is scary.
Wait, did you set this up, you dickhead?
No.
What is this?
Is this a prank?
We live in an era when it is scary that someone comes to your door.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's happened multiple times, and I'm like,
We're recording.
We're
right?
keeping it going in case the cops need to use
This is a snuff podcast.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
she's
God.
back. Thank God.